Start streaming here. And I am expecting a few more people. We've got a big group tonight, and we have some new exhibitors. So I'm going to try to keep my mouth shut tonight as much as possible. While we wait for a few more people to arrive, let's see. I'd like to welcome Joey Bice. Joey, great to see you. Looking forward to exhibiting your photo. It's going to be coming right up. While we wait for a few more people to arrive, does anyone have anything they would like to announce or share? Sounds like we're ready for the slideshow.
Somebody's got their sound on.
Yes, if you're using a tablet or a TV, if you wouldn't mind muting.
Yes, if you're using a tablet or a TV, if you wouldn't mind muting.
There we go. Okay. And I'm going to post some links into our chat. There we go. So we have a number of ways of viewing our 3D slideshow tonight. I'll be sharing my screen with full width side-by-side stereo photos, and we will be live streaming this on YouTube and Twitch, depending on your gadget, your device, your preference. We have side-by-side and anaglyph streams. All right. We also have a workshop tonight, and by that I mean we're going to revisit a photo that Steve exhibited last week that we had a lot of feedback for him. So with that said, I did promise to shut up. Let me share my screen, and let's get started. Okay, if you're following along with me, you should see our title slide now. And if you're following along on our YouTube stream, be aware there's a delay of 10, 15 seconds or so. The same is true with our Twitch stream as well. And let me just get this going for me. Let's start with our workshop. We gave Steve lots of critical feedback last week about this one, and it looks like Steve has taken it to heart. Steve, tell us what you've done here. This is Buenos Aires Street. Oh, Steve, you're muted.
I just realized that.
There you go.
Yeah, there were, on the far lower right, there were two people that were extending from the camera plane, or whatever. What is it? What is the word I'm looking for?
Window.
Stereo window.
Stereo window. And so it's really just the sort of like the tops of their heads. And so I painted them out, and then I also cropped on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think that works really well. I was a little reluctant to cut into that nice awning on the left, but it looks fine like that.
The cropping seemed to frame nice.
Hello?
Yeah, I think this is a big improvement, Steve.
Did I lose you, Steve?
Yeah, Steve, I think you muted or something.
What's that?
I couldn't hear you. I thought maybe you got muted.
Oh, can other people hear me?
Yeah, you're a little muffled, but we can hear you.
Maybe I need to get a little closer. I've got this little, webcam. I don't have a camera inside my monitor. That's why I'm always off to the side.
Well, this is nice, Steve. I don't have the before to compare against the after right now, but it looks like you painted out the person who was in front of the window in that lower right-hand corner. Is that what you did?
Yes, there were actually two people, and previously I painted out one of them that was just the very top of their head, a little woman with gray hair. And then there was another one who was just outside the stereo window, and I painted her out as well.
Yeah, this is a much more comfortable composition.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well done, Steve. Thank you for
Thanks.
sharing.
Happy to do it.
All
Thanks for the suggestions.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with us and letting us
Well-
tear it apart for you.
That's why I came.
All right. Let's move on. I would like to welcome a new exhibitor, Joey Bice. And Joey has a stereo photo. The title is Noe Street. Joey, welcome. And I would very much like to know, well, I know where you took it. I'd love to know when you took it and how you took it, what kind of camera you used, and how you got this image on the screen.
Yes. So I'm very new to stereoscopic photography, but I have a 35 millimeter camera, a realist. And so I took it about 4 weeks ago. And then I developed the negatives. And then I went to Harvey Milk Photo Center and I scanned the negatives using one of their scanners. And then I just photoshopped them together. And then I did a whole series.
All right. So let's tell Joey what we see. I've got to say, this is a great effort, great 3D, and I want to ask, did you do any sort of aligning? Did you use any software to fix any rotation errors or anything like that? Because for me, this is very comfortable to view. I don't see any of those errors, and I'm wondering what your process was.
No. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I didn't know what I was doing. So what I did was I just created guides on Photoshop. And so I just lined up, pretty much squared the photo for each one. And then I just lined up the center as close as I could to match. And then that was it.
Yeah, it's very
Such a throwback. We haven't had a film submission in decades, and
Is that true?
There's a bit of whisker or a bit of dust in the middle.
Yes, I know. I kept it.
Yeah, it's good. It's just reminding us of the old ways.
yeah, it's film.
Yeah, digitally, there's a bit of clipping on the side. The split isn't quite down the center, so I'm
Oh,
getting a
yeah.
tiny sliver of the other frame on the sides of the chips.
I see it. Yeah.
But no, the separations is a really comfortable composition. I love the foreground post. That's really what sets the depth reference. Is that signpost in the foreground.
In Photoshop, did you try to do color correction?
I did do a color correction. My photos were really gray. Even though it was a sunny day, it was just, the camera is old.
Yeah, I agree with Taurus. It's a nice composition in the 3D. The depth is really great. It does seem a bit blue, a bit cool.
Yeah.
You may have to manually go in and add, some orange or something to it.
I
Or
agree.
a white balance on the gray values might be really
Yeah. Well, is that what you did? You did a white balance?
No, I just played around with some other filters and just kind of brightened it up where I could, and try to make it as much, because it was really dark. I just wanted as much detail because I did scan it pretty high res, so I just wanted to get as much stuff in there.
So, yeah, if you're new to this, then I'm sure at some point somebody in the club, maybe me right now, was going to tell you about Stereo Photo Maker if you don't already know about it. It's an invaluable resource, and it'll help you align stuff. I can't do this work without it.
Okay.
It's free software.
Taking notes. Thank you.
Pretty much literally every stereographer uses it. It's a wonderful piece of free software, and it does just the auto alignment alone is invaluable.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put a link to Stereo Photo Maker in the chat for you, Joey. You might want to check it out. It's like Photoshop for stereo photographers, but it is free. Oh, pardon me. It's an invaluable tool. It's really better than anything Adobe could put out. If you're happy with your technique using Photoshop, stick with it. I use Photoshop. We all use other image editing software along with Stereo Photo Maker, but Stereo Photo Maker automates some of the chores that come with stereo photography.
Cool. Should note that Stereo Photo Maker is, I believe, still Windows only. I don't believe there's ever been a Mac version.
Okay.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's true. Yes. It is possible to run Stereo Photo Maker in emulation, and I think there is a package that you can download. There are workarounds, but just a tip for you, Joey. Not
Thank you.
Nothing that you have to change or anything like that.
Photomaker works just fine under Wine on Linux, if that's your environment.
Is that what you're doing, Mike?
Yes.
All right. You're the
Works great.
only stereo photographer I know running Linux. That's impressive.
I just Googled it because I thought I remembered hearing that there was something available, and there seemed to be something. I have no experience. I don't use Mac, so but it looked like maybe there's something. I can't vouch for it, but there might be a way to do it.
I'll have to investigate.
Now, tonight's theme is Through the Window, and indeed, when I look at this, the pole, that critical foreground element, is in front of the window. Joey, I don't know if you know what I mean about that, but it's sort of coming out towards me, which is a great effect, and it happens to be perfect for tonight's slideshow.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to join.
Yeah. So you said you have a series of these. This isn't the only stereo realist photo you've taken.
Yeah, I just did the whole roll.
Yeah. We'd love to see the rest of them. So please come back. This one's a lot of fun. Great depth, great composition. I'd really love to see more.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
The guys, anybody you know?
Say that again.
The subjects, are they people you know or just passersby?
Passerby.
Yeah. It's a great example of stereo street photography. So, Joey, the rest of the photos you're going to see tonight were taken with digital cameras, a variety of digital cameras. Some of us just use our smartphone and take 2 successive exposures. Some of us have stereo digital cameras, and some of us use 2 synchronized cameras. So you're going to see photos from a variety of cameras made with a variety of techniques, and yours fit right in. Our next photo is also by a new exhibitor who has not yet arrived to the meeting, so we'll probably come back to this one.
Well, I can talk to it since I was involved.
Oh, you're involved.
Yeah.
Linda, take it away.
So this is a fellow from the Crossview subreddit on Reddit, and he's been doing these wonderful stereofractals. He's just an incredible fractal artist. All of his images are wonderful and different, and so this was from one that he rendered. So no cameras involved at all, actually. So you don't even need a camera necessarily to make a stereograph.
Corrected.
He posted an image very much like this just a couple days ago, but the front of the tip of these chevrons coming out the bottom were cut off, and so I suggested he render a slightly larger version, and that I would do a border treatment for him to show him one way of dealing with such a border violation and turning it into a feature. And so he did that, and this was the version that I returned to him, and then I asked him if he'd like me to submit it for him, since our competition was coming right up, and the topic was appropriate for it. And he was very happy to oblige. I encouraged him to come to the meeting too if he wanted to, but I'm not expecting him.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you encouraging him to contribute this, and let's give him some feedback in case he does arrive, or if he decides to watch one of our live streams. Maybe he's on our YouTube live stream right now.
Oh, that's a good point. I'll send him the link so he can hear the feedback directly.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'd love that.
He did a great job. Did you instruct him to do the border, or was that already a part of his technique?
No, I did the border. I kept his stereo window placement though, so I put the border exactly at the stereo window, and it was pretty straightforward. I got a little smart. I used Stereo Photomaker's border option, which I often do for other images, but I started by giving it a full border, then saving it out as an image with a border, and then taking it into Photoshop. Usually I do the borders at the very end, but in this case, I started with the border, and then in Photoshop, I selected I made a selection that contains that the bottom edge of the chevron there that I want to protect, and then I made a copy across the entire top strip of the image containing the border of the tops of both images, and then I copied and pasted that into the selection and moved it down where it naturally would find its way under the chevrons there because of the selected area, the protective selection. Does that make sense? I'm saying it very badly.
I mean,
you seem to have judged the position of the window, the intersection of the rails pretty well. I'm watching the YouTube stream, and I'm seeing the window slightly forward of the screen, but that might be the alignment of the YouTube stream.
Oh, weird. Yeah, it should be right at the stereo window. But anyway, so the only work I needed to do on the borders was to do the bottom edge, and and I did the other borders were done normally with Stereo Photo Maker. Oh, and I also painted out some distracting retinal rivalry on the side edges. So that's the those black regions contained more of the the image detail that was a little bit distracting. So that was just a liberty that I took to make it a little more comfortable to view.
It would probably be too much to show the border through the gaps in between the rails.
Oh, not at all. I mean, you just have to create a selection area that
Yeah.
contains
I just
the
wonder if
gaps where you want them.
I just wonder if it wouldn't be too distracting.
It's a nice idea. I don't think there are gaps in the geometry. I think the dark areas are just because there's sort of no light getting in there, but there's sort of like just stacks of cylinders.
Yeah, I think they are flush. I think you're right.
Yeah, but that's a great idea. I love the idea of having that show through a grating or something like that.
But I like the subject. I like the separation is very comfortable. I think if this is like a model that can be manipulated in space, it might be nice to have it slightly off center so it's not 100% symmetrical.
Yeah, that's a good question for him. It's I don't know if he gets it as a 3D geometry that he can manipulate, but he can probably re-render it with a camera offset.
Yeah, it certainly looks like a 3D object because I see some shadow areas. I was trying to imagine what it would be like if, like, the bottom, the sort of pink tubes, if they were a little bit darker at the bottom, it might give them more dramatic depth because they look to be the same shade.
Right. If they're under everything, they should be getting less light. Yeah, I get it.
Have you thought about using the horizontal perspective to align everything horizontally?
That's a good idea. I mean, it didn't occur to me. I don't know if he can do that in his software.
I kind of like the perspective shift.
Yeah, me too. But it's a possibility. It'll look a little different. It might look a little static if everything was horizontal or vertical.
Yeah, but that might be a nice homage to the theme. It's sort of a cubistic kind of a subject in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. And of course, you can always do anything like with Stereo Photo Maker after the fact.
Well, thank you, Belinda, and thank you. The name I have is S. Rathanagiri. I hope to see more of these.
Yeah, I hope he gets interested enough to submit on his own.
We'll share that
Be
link,
nice.
as I know you will, and let him know we'd love to see more.
Will do.
And yes, I stand corrected. I said we shoot with a variety of cameras, and in this case, without any camera at all. All right, I'm going to move on to one by me. The title is Foosball with 3 O's. This is an exhibit at the SF MoMA, and I thought it would be a good theme for our Through the Window exhibition tonight. It was really more of a snapshot, so I had to fix it up quite a bit. I took this with my X-Real Beam Pro So I'm not completely satisfied with it. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but if anyone has any observations, I'd appreciate to hear it.
I have one thought, and maybe because I'm just looking at a monitor, so the image is maybe a little bit small, that you should either go with no border or a thicker border.
Thicker border, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or perhaps a colored border that distinguishes it from the color values in the picture, because you have all of those silver rods and you have that white border.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
I like it.
Where's
Excellent depth of
where's the
field.
foosball?
It's way down at the other end by the players.
So,
It sticks way out through the window, but I kind of want more. It's still very comfortable to look at. I kind of visually it looks kind of dramatic, but in stereo it's almost too comfortable for me.
I think what I want is the butt end of the table with the drop goal ball collector and everything. So finish off the foreground, because it feels like it goes on past us, going straight to the bottom of the frame at the top of the table like this.
You want to see the end of the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tor. I think like what you need to do is move the camera down a bit,
Yeah.
more dramatic depth.
Yeah, that's great advice.
That would do both of those things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the three things too also change the border, the width, and the color of it.
Right. But just moving the camera would make it more dramatic and let you see the end of the table.
Yes. I think also if there was a bit more separation, there might be a little more drama. It is a kind of sort of narrow base camera.
It's working pretty well. You can get close to the table with it. I'm really impressed with the depth of field here. Seems to be razor sharp from front to back.
Yeah, good point. I hadn't thought about that. The camera itself has no focus control, so I have to give all the credit to the camera in this case. And I really should paint in the end, the butt end, as you called it, of this table. That's really a flaw in my photography. I didn't take enough. I didn't capture enough of the table in my camera, so I just cropped it off here. But it would make more sense if I painted in, or if I had photographed the end so that it doesn't just sort of extend out like a piece of paper.
It's an aesthetic choice. I mean, I like having the score counter right there at the bottom too.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. I like the cropping.
Oh, good.
I just wish there would be a couple of people right at the window playing. So if you go back and it's still there, try to.
I think it is still there. I may go back. There's another exhibit that I want to revisit. I walked through this one so fast I didn't even stop to write down the name of this piece, so that's why I just called it foosball. I think I also probably was loitering around there too long and scaring people away from trying this table, so that's why I didn't get the players at the window, which, yeah, would have made it a much more interesting photo with some human interest rather than having them way at the end.
Matt, you write down the name? I just take a picture.
I take a picture. That's what I mean. No, I don't carry a pad of paper with me. I should have taken a photo of it. I could look it up on the website, but well, that's. I think rather than spend any more time on this one, I'll just go back and reshoot it. That's probably the best solution.
Maybe bring some accomplices who are willing to stand closer to the camera.
Yes, maybe recruit somebody.
Yes.
I did like, one last thing I'll say, I do like, and this is the only image that I took that had it, the person sort of peeking around the corner watching them.
Mm.
All right, thank you. So this one was by me. The next one is by Melinda of me. And the title of this is Matt. Linda, take
And it
it
was
away.
taken with the same camera. It was literally Matt's X-Beam Pro at our last get together, and yeah, I was sitting across from him, and he was pontificating on something profound and using these fun hand gestures, and I thought that would look really good. And so I borrowed his camera and took a few snaps, and this was definitely the best one. And he sent the images to me, and I wasn't sure what to do with them for a while. I liked the moment, but it sort of took the special competition to make me really reconsider this image and realize that it would really pop as a through the window image. So I did a fair amount of work on it. It took way too long to do the borders of this one, but it worked out pretty well. And there was a bald sky, so I just replaced that with a blue gradient. And didn't have to do much else other than my ordinary Photoshop filters. I also posted this to Reddit, where people got a real kick out of it, and so that was very encouraging.
So I'm curious why it took a long time to do the border.
I'm still not completely good with making and managing complicated selections, which is strange because that's what I spend most of my time doing. So I have gotten a lot better at it.
Would that be his hands?
Yeah. So
They don't look complicated to me. It seems pretty straightforward. I mean, they're just a few line. I keep thinking, well, maybe I need to do a demo just so, because it seems like something that should only take about 2 minutes.
To do a rough job, but then if you want a really good tight outline, you have to adjust it in quick mode, and it's still not completely perfect. Like in the right eye, the top edge of his forefinger, it has like a dark line between it and the border. I mean, it's super minor, but those are the kinds of things I was fussing with at the end before I stopped.
Photoshop?
Yeah.
It looks like the left side of the window is more forward in the frame than the right.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So it's sort of shooting off center. His shoulder is sort of in the middle of the image, and I kind of like that. But it was also raised the question of what to do with the image before I decided what to do with it. It was something of a problem, and I kind of wanted to put him in the center, but I also wanted more drama of having it off center, like we were talking about the previous image. But this was the capture that I had. So the question is, what can I do with it? I like that it's off center in that way, and one hand comes out more than the other.
I like the composition. I think it looks like he's having a religious experience. I'd probably add a halo over him.
Well, I did the next best thing. I at least on my Reddit post, I titled it "Open Your Mind."
Yeah.
I'm having a religious 3D
But that would
experience.
also handle the sky being kind of bland up there if it had a nice little glowing halo. I think that was nice.
Could be, and it was also, at least in the way I was thinking about it, it's like his hands are almost pushing the borders wider. Like the borders are a little bit constrictive, and so he's broadening his mind, or that's what we need to do to appreciate the image. I don't know. The broadening sort of aspect of it is kind of how it felt to me.
Well,
I'm liking the reflection on the phone, and also the 3D texture on the bush on the right, the way you can see the second bush through it. That's the sort of thing that conversion just can't handle.
Yeah, definitely. I did spot out a few of the mismatched splotches of light on the bushes, but I left enough of them to be interesting.
Looks
like that.
Looks pretty comfortable.
Yeah, thanks. It took a little while to decide which things to spot out and which not, but it sounds like it was worth it. And I didn't even notice the reflection on the phone.
Yeah, just a little bit of a sleeve in there.
Yeah. Thanks.
Did you add a gradient to the sky, or is that how it exposed?
No, it's a gradient. It was just a bald white sky.
Yeah, I figured.
So it was easy to select, and I've gotten pretty good at the gradients. And by the way, if anybody else wants to use Photoshop gradients for skies, you want the gradient going straight down.
Mm-hmm.
If you use a diagonal gradient, it looks wrong in stereo.
Makes sense. Well, this is very flattering. Thank you, Melinda. I think this is the kind of photo that the camera, the X-Real Beam Pro, which I'll show off after the slideshow for those who don't know what I'm talking about. Most of us do, but some of us might not. This is the kind of photo I think this camera was made for. And I'm seeing a lot of these mid shots or even portraits taken with this camera with these really long extended limbs, like my arms coming out here. Quality of the wide lenses. This is a lot of fun. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
Oleg, you're up next. Welcome. The title of your first image tonight is View Outdoors from Oman Lodge's Gym.
I didn't like the picture, but I thought maybe if I placed the window at the window, it would be an interesting picture. One of the things, I don't like the description of in your face. That sounds aggressive. So I think of this kind of picture as past your face. You have, like when you read a book, it doesn't fill your full vision. There you've got a periphery that it's always there. So that this sort of picture sort of apes that. You don't care when you read a book. You're concentrating on the subject, not what's on either side of it.
In this case, we're looking through a window that's also a door. I do see it's not really retinal rivalry, but on the right-hand side, there's I guess maybe reflected.
I think it's leftover artifacts from constructing the window frame. We've got these black bars on either side that seem to be left over from whatever process was used to draw the frame.
Yeah, I thought I made it clean, but it's a lot of work
Yeah.
to find out exactly where the border should be and where it shouldn't.
But we see these black bars in the right eye extending through the equipment in the foreground appear to be part of the frame.
On the treadmill, it's just in one eye, not the other.
Yeah. Also on the exercise bike on the left.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a little more subtle.
But compositionally, I really like this for through the window because the light source is in the distance, and when we have it through the window, especially when you're looking at it on a TV or in a darkened room, it always stands out to me when something that's popping out is still brightly lit, even though it should be forward in our darkened environment from where we're viewing the picture. So I like the backlit elements here.
For some reason, I didn't see it on my monitor, but the shadows are greenish.
Yeah, the whole tone is pretty green. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see you added a border, just a thin border on the top and sides. Is that right?
Yes. That's the window.
Oh no, wait! It's also at the bottom. It's very thin though, so it gets chopped off on the.
Yeah. You're using thicker borders. I'll do the same. I'm starting to use the borders on every picture.
I like borders on lots of pictures, and I don't think that borders need to be too terribly thick, but for these false border images, I think it helps to have them slightly larger than normal.
Yeah, you're right. In fact, I'll fix this one and also get that color fixed too.
Yeah, that's one of my lessons tonight also. All right, thank you, Oleg. Very nice. Let's see, I saw Bob just got up, and Bob is just coming back, and we have a photo by Bob. Bob, this is Angel's Trumpet. And it'll come up for you in just a minute.
Do you happen to have the mirrored version of that?
I do. That's going to come up a little later, and I got your updated version earlier today. Yeah.
This looks to me. It looks like it's at the window. Is something coming through the window?
It should have been. It doesn't look like. I'm previewing it off of an iPad right now too, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's.
It's slightly forward, but without any reference, it's hard to judge.
The mirror version of this is much better in terms of able to come through the window and be a little more dramatic on that. But I like the light and the color on this a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
If I go right up to my TV, I can see that actually all three flowers are forward of the window.
I don't think I'm previewing it, and looks like the second flower is right at the window.
Yeah, if I actually put my finger on my TV, I can see that that all three are forward of the window.
I think that's the TV doing that.
Might be.
I think the back flower is well behind the window.
The sides are actually aligned, so yeah, the entire picture is floating forward. So that might be the YouTube presentation.
I think it is. And this was shot with an iPhone. Shot.
Well, I certainly can't fault you for your subtlety. And of course, as Oleg was just saying, through the window doesn't need to mean coming at you or, in your face. And of course, that's always my first reaction because that's how 3D was always sold to me, that it's got to be in your lap. So, this serves as a nice example of a little more controlled use of composition outside of the window. Doesn't have to be so pronounced. And Bob, we do have your Angel's Trumpet mirrored coming up in a little bit. And I did get your updated version today, so that's the one we'll be seeing.
Image quality is spectacular too.
Yeah, I continually am impressed with the quality of the lenses. I don't know how they do it on the small phones and the size of the chip in there.
They just keep getting better. Yeah, it's amazing.
So for those who aren't familiar with this technique that Bob is describing, Bob, you took 2 slightly offset photos with your iPhone?
Yeah, I usually take 3 for some reason, sometimes 4, depending on how much I want to control the depth.
And you don't have to move it much, right? Just just kind of shift your body weight, and I presume then, Bob, you put that pair into Stereo Photo Maker, probably did some auto alignment, tweaked it, and here we are. Well,
and I don't think I did much. The lighting was just so beautiful. It was late in the afternoon. I may have boosted the saturation a bit, but tried to keep it not overly done.
And no breeze, apparently. That was lucky.
Yeah. Wish I'd gotten a little more room on the right there. I'd like to have that one edge of the second flower in the frame, but it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Before we move on, I just noticed in the chat that Joey had actually put the name of the foosball piece that I had shown. Stadium, it's called, by Maurizo Catalan. I'm sure I got that wrong, but thank you, Joey. That's something that I should have done, and somehow overlooked that detail. I'm usually better.
I just quick Google search.
Yeah, it wouldn't have taken me much time either.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to address Tor. Yeah, I'm looking at the half-width stream on my LoomPad. It's through Twitch, but it's the same stream, and there is definitely a position issue, which is sort of pushing the whole thing a few pixels in front of the window. So it's not just your TV. I'm seeing it too. I'm not going to monkey with it in the middle of the slideshow, but I will address that for our next meeting. Because I definitely want that to be accurate. I'm comparing it to the Anaglyph live stream, which by its nature is just perfectly aligned. So I definitely see that offset that you're describing. Okay.
Out of curiosity, how are people viewing this? Anybody else on the YouTube stream? People using their LoomPads or?
I'm on Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried it on the LoomPad, but it stayed parallel.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I pulled it up on the 3D TV, and I'm getting it side by side squeezed, but can't figure out how to get it into either an anaglyph or able to use the 3D function on the LG.
And the LoomPad, you should be able to tell it it's a side by side.
Right. Yeah, I haven't booted up my Loom pad. I've got it.
Within the YouTube app, you're saying? Because I didn't see that option.
No, you don't do it from the YouTube app. You have to do it from whatever you're watching it on.
I'm saying on the LumaPad, I tried to go through.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's a whole
it's-
thing about that. There's a whole thing about that.
Right. I could. It won't. The Leia player thing doesn't seem to want to recognize it.
Yeah, that's what I
It
thought
worked
too.
in the
Right.
past, though.
So there is a known issue with the LeiaTube app on the LoomPad, which is the main reason I bought a LoomPad. They made an update, and it will no longer correctly display our YouTube live stream. It will play it correctly after the fact, after the meeting is over and the video has been recorded and saved on YouTube. But there's something about the live stream that it doesn't like. So what I've done is I've set up a Twitch live stream, and you can use that on the LoomPad either after installing the Twitch app,
The video has been recorded
or
and
using
saved on
the
YouTube.
Twitch website. And what you have to do is, in Twitch, you share it to the LeiaTube app, and then it's supposed to properly display it in 3D. Sometimes, though, it doesn't realize that it's a 3D stream, and it will do an AI conversion on the half-width side-by-side. And so you'll have two skinny, badly converted 3D photos. And if that's the case, in the LeiaTube app, if you tap the screen and click the settings icon, the little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner, it will let you choose the 3D type. Now, unfortunately, I can't demonstrate that on our stream or on my camera. I'm just not set up for that. But long story short, I feel your pain. It's more complicated than it needs to be on the LoomPad. It used to be a little easier. So experiment. And as a backup, if you really can't get it to work, we've always got our Anaglyph stream if you have a pair of red cyan glasses lying around. All right, enough from me. Let's hear from Steve about Argentinian Soldier.
Okay, this is a statue in Oshawa, which I mentioned last week is the southernmost city in the world. And, thought it would make a good through the window.
Very effective.
There was like some signage and stuff on his left side. So I painted that out on the left, not his left side, but the left side of the frame. On the both, obviously both left and right image, but that big splotch of green grass is made up of, sections of the other grass that's in the picture.
You got as much of it through the window as you could without hitting his body.
Oh, you mean his body is actually it looks like maybe is part of his helmet coming through the window? I can't quite tell.
It looks like he's all behind the window up to like his trigger finger. I think.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
So it looks like you got as much as you could without creating any window violations.
Oh yeah, you know what? I was just pretty much looking at the. This is just a W3. I think it could have, because it's a statue. It could have been a cha-cha. Can't remember now. I think it's a W3.
It seems to have W3 color.
Oh, okay. I've got a good eye. Yeah. Now that I'm seeing it, because I'll confess, I wasn't even paying attention to that. I was more concerned about the distraction of the signage. That now I can see that the strap just sticks out from the window. It just made it.
Missed it by
Because I
that
don't
much.
think I cropped that. I cropped a little bit obviously on the sides because it's much too square a picture for a contemporary camera.
There's a bit in the upper right corner in the left chip. I don't know if that's architecture or a formatting issue, just a bit of white that cuts off the grass.
When I was, working on it, I saw that. That's in both eyes. And I said, okay, I'll just leave it. It was something that was really there. It crossed my mind that I could just paint it out and
fill it in. Yeah.
Maybe would,
There's more grass.
obviously wouldn't be distracting then. It's so faint. I don't know that it's distracting, but if it is,
It blinks at me a little.
Yeah, I would just crop out that strip on the right edge.
And not crop it out, but paint it out.
Yeah.
I would crop out. No, I would.
Well, if you
I would crop
out the top of his head off.
No, just on the right side of the image.
Oh, crop it there.
Yeah, I would crop 20 pixels off of both images on the right. That's all.
Or just paint grass over the white part.
You could try painting grass. That would work too.
I would paint white there. Because if you painted grass, you'd get a little hump.
It'd be fine. Or if you clone some grass,
different things.
I mean,
Sorry?
it's behind the window and it's only in one eye. So if you painted more, it would be in the no stereo zone.
Oh, so we're talking about something different.
The upper right corner, there's a white post above the gray bunker that only appears in the left eye.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I agree with Malin, I agree with you. Cropping is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because there's something in the left eye and the right eye. Because there's a black. Oh no, that's not a black shape. That's part of zoom. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, cropping it would probably be the way to go. I appreciate that.
And if you had the time, I'm noticing that on the right-hand side, which is the actual background, which is like a sloping hill, that the grass comes toward the retaining wall behind the soldier. But on the left side, where you replaced, I'm guessing you replaced grass, it's a flat wall. And maybe want to take that background and shift, do a perspective shift on one of them to have it sort of slope forward.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. The funny thing is that there was enough of the hill that at least 50% from the bottom of his helmet down to like his shoulder is the actual hill. So that's the perspective it is. So I don't even remember. I mean, we saw a lot of things.
It's super
minor. You're right. I think it's maybe I need to cheat it just so it doesn't look wrong.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bother with that, but you might want to consider using a gradient for the sky.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I know you mentioned that on your previous picture.
And on the right side, I see a little piece, I think, of his helmet glasses in the grass.
Yeah.
Must have been when you
I debated
copied or
on that.
clone.
That's real. That's some kind of shadow or something on the actual grass. But it's only in one eye, so I probably should have painted it out.
Oh no, it's on the left then. On the left of it.
On the left.
I see that.
Okay.
You go a little bit after the white flowers on the top of the grass, and you can see a little piece of his helmet.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, it's just a little gray spot above those tiny white flowers.
Good eye. Yeah, you got a good eye.
Oh.
So now you know my techniques.
Did you use the clone tool or Photoshop?
I used a variety of things. There's a healing brush.
Oh right, yeah.
And I use cloning. There's a patch tool that where you just select an area and it looks at all the stuff that's surrounding it and blends it. I'm gonna show you guys all those tools. This is not in Photoshop. This is in Affinity. Apologize for the regulars here. You're probably tired of hearing me mention it. But Affinity is non-subscription based, and it does 80% of what Photoshop does. It does probably 100% of what most of you use it for. I think it's a great program.
Still a good job though. Yeah. Nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to schedule an Affinity session with you, Steve, because I can't make head or tail of it myself.
Yeah.
Let's do a clinic.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I've put a link to Affinity, the image editing software that Steve uses instead of Photoshop, in the chat. Definitely worth checking out. And I also want to add, going back toward the conversation that we just had about the LoomPad, I've also posted a link for LoomPad users with instructions to use our Twitch live stream on your LoomPad. And I'll leave it there. If you have any questions, though, about the LoomPad or Affinity, please put them in the chat. Thank you, Steve. Melinda, oh no, I'm sorry. It's actually Jay is up next with Dino.
Another angle of that same dinosaur was coming out a bit more from the window. So, yeah, that's it. Shot with a LoomPad.
Nice.
Shot with the stereo camera that is built into the LoomPad that I always forget that I own. Wasn't this part of a holiday display, Jay? Didn't you show us this in the context of?
Yeah, I mean, you can see that ribbon around his neck. He's wearing a hat. But the dino's there all year round.
It's not a Christmas dino. It's all year round. The lens spacing on the LoomPad is pretty close, so you must have been very close to this dinosaur.
Yeah, right there.
Right there.
It's what the LoomPad's made for, basically.
Yeah. The focus is, quite sharp throughout. I'm pretty impressed by that it can focus on a subject so close and also keep the depth of field. Of course, we're not going back to infinity here, but
small sensor helps.
You're right. That's an advantage of the small sensors on the Fuji W3. You always get sharp focus. Well, I'm not going to say always. You usually can achieve sharp focus throughout, which is what I try to achieve as a stereo photographer. Of course, those rules are meant to be broken, but well done. And was this an animatronic? Was this dino moving when you shot it?
Yeah, I have some movies of it moving.
Okay. Yeah, I see a teeny tiny bit of motion blur, the bottom of the jaw.
Yeah.
Nothing that.
Some others were way out of focus because of motion. Yeah.
It certainly doesn't detract from my enjoyment of it.
That eyeball is super sharp.
I wonder if the LoomPad focus, if it has face recognition. Maybe that's what it focused on. Maybe it recognized this as a face.
No.
All right. Thank you, Jay.
also centered.
Centered
Oh, it's also being in the center.
of the composition. Maybe that's what it landed on. Sure. Center metering. I don't know much about the loom pad camera, Jay. I think you're the most prolific loom pad stereo photographer who I know. I guess I got to bring.
Yeah, Leo just did the bare minimum for us.
Is it as bare minimum as the X-Reel Beam Pro? Because that's a bare minimum stereo camera. I've complained about that.
I think so.
My only really real complaint about the loom photography I've seen is the yellow cast to the color palette.
And for those at our meeting who don't know what we're talking about when we say the loom pad is an Android tablet with a auto stereo display, 3D without glasses. And it also has a stereo camera built in. And I think it's a 12-inch tablet. Pretty chunky, pretty heavy. Impressed that Jay carries it around with him.
Two stereo cameras.
Right.
Oh, of course, because it has front and rear stereo cameras. So you can do like a stereo video chat.
Very, very impressive in person.
Yeah, it's a great device. It's a little finicky with our live stream, but well, that's a whole nother conversation. All right, thank you, Jay. Let's look at one of mine. As I said last week, I finally made it to the Pacific Pinball Museum for the first time. And this is one shot. I took it with my X-Reel Beam Pro. I think it's a little more successful as a through the window. I really had to work on the exposure and the color in Photoshop on this one because the X-Reel Beam Pro is... I'm not satisfied with its low light performance, and this is a very dim interior. But I think it's a fun shot. And it was a very fun pinball machine.
Yeah, this works really well. Did you just paint out all the background between the machines, or was it actually that dark?
I did. They were in dark shadow. It worked a lot better with all that information just cleaned out.
Yeah. Very effective.
What's the title of it?
The title of the photo or the title of the pinball machine?
The photo.
The title of the photo is Pinball Machines.
Looks like an Evel Knievel game.
It is an Evel Knievel game, yes.
Nice.
One of the most fun machines at the museum right now, in my opinion, and I'm no expert.
Might consider having Evel Knievel jumping out of that back display too. Just shift him over a little bit.
Do a conversion on the back glass.
Seriously, I do regret not taking a higher resolution shot of just that artwork and doing a little conversion. That was kind of my plan, but I could still do it. There's just not a lot of information there. It would just kind of look a little rough, I think.
Might consider Gigapix by Topaz. Does an amazing job of upscaling low-res photos.
Great idea. Maybe I'll do that and show this again next time.
And there's a tiny bit of retinal rivalry in the little symbol that's next to Evil's head. The one that's sort of blue is to the right of his head, and both, and so that it seems like the coloring is different from the
I
left
see
and
it,
right
yeah.
eye.
It's a blue light reflected in the glass from across the room.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can zoom in on that.
Yeah.
Probably an opposing machine.
Yeah, there are a lot of reflections in this photo, and I kind of
Yeah.
like them. But I
Yeah,
think when I
definitely
go
in
back,
the play area.
I'll tape some polarizing filters over my lenses and see what comes out.
Oh, that would be interesting.
So I will be back.
So this is not 3D related, but can you play those?
Yes, they're all on free play. You pay like $22 to get in, and then all of the machines are in free play.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how many machines are in the collection, but there are many. There are several rooms. I didn't have a chance to play them all, and I was there all day. I definitely got my money's worth.
Yeah, they're grouped by decade. This looks like the 70s room.
70s, yeah, that's a KISS machine to the left. I forget the name of the machine to the right. It's not the only pinball museum in the East Bay, but it's the one I know, and I encourage everyone to visit it if you're ever in Alameda.
Do they still have the gallery of backglass paintings?
They did have a special exhibit of backglass art by specific
By one
artists
guy who
in a
did a bunch in the
specific style.
late 90s, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see exactly what you're describing, but there were there was a lot of artwork on the walls.
Yes. Yeah, I need to get back there. But
Yeah.
this would be where we're seeing the edge of the cabinet. This is what I was talking about with the foosball table. This is why I like having the coin return.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of end was missing from the foosball table, and I think that photo suffers for it. This just makes more sense. This is more how it would appear if you were actually standing in front of it.
Yeah, I like this one a lot.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Instead of doing the idea of Evel Knievel popping out, you could do the Bally's because it has better details. You know what I mean, or something more close up. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was all.
Yeah.
Just seemed thematically the best subject to use to be jumping up.
I agree.
Well, what I will probably do
is take the picture of the backdrop and put it in Google image search, and you might be able to find a sharper image of that. And Topaz would also work. I echo what Bob was saying. It's an amazing program.
Yeah, you're right. There are all sorts of photos of these machines on social media, and somebody must have taken a higher resolution photo of that artwork. However, I'll probably just go back and play the machine again and retake the photo with these limitations in mind.
So does the ball ever like jump up a ramp and get airborne?
Not on this one, no. It's a single layer. It's a pretty easy pinball machine to play. And I'm sure that's intentional, Evel Knievel being so popular with boys in the 70s. This is a machine that I think was designed really more for younger people or children. It's a very rewarding game. It doesn't really have any traps or anything like that. Lots of bells, lots of high scores.
It's like Bob found a sharper version of it already.
In the chat?
Yeah, no, it's on eBay. If you just Google Evel Knievel pinball art, it'll come up, and it looks really high res. It's nice.
Yeah, you can always trust Google unless you're looking for that big body of water next to
Yeah.
Florida. They got the
Oh, good.
name wrong.
I like the idea of the pulley handle coming, closer, since you have to physically pull that, what I
Yeah,
mean?
true.
Yeah, I wonder if I could get a better angle slightly lower to really emphasize that. Having that part really the prominent piece coming through the window. That actually might be a more interesting composition if I centered more on that and shot the rest of the machine at more of an angle. That would be a fun photo. I like that idea. Thanks, Joey.
And you can always get the Evel Knievel back glass. It's going for $620 plus $65.40 shipping.
This must have been a very popular machine. They must have manufactured a lot of these. There are some really rare ones at this museum, but this is not one of them, obviously. All right, I'll be back. I've got some great ideas here. Thank you, everyone. And if anyone wants to join me, I'll announce it next time I'm headed there. Until then, though, we have one by Melinda. Stealth Truck is the title.
So yeah, this was Cybertruck spotted in my neighborhood. It's all sharp corners and angles, and sort of surprisingly stealthy for a vehicle that size. You could easily miss it if you were on a bicycle or something. I hope all the self-driving cars can tell where it is. But so I took a picture with the with one of those extreme points close to the camera, trying to get that corner to come through the window.
Yeah, it works on my screen. This is the first stereo photo of a Cybertruck I've ever seen, and it's a nice one because it's polished. We've got these great reflections that add additional depth to explore. They're not usually so reflective like this.
No, that's true. I mean, it's probably dangerous, but it was it certainly was striking and kind of weird how it almost looks like you're looking through it.
Here's the original German version.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's where Elon got his inspiration.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
The more we hear from this guy. Yeah, it's nice, the facets reflect different parts of the environment, so it really kind of emphasizes the angular design of this vehicle.
It reminds me, if you ever watched David Lynch's Dune, the body shields, these with their sort of faceted reflections.
Geometric.
I don't remember the rendering. I mean, I love that. I love that concept.
And Melinda, you took this with your red hydrogen one. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, this was a very low effort image, but I knew we had the subject coming up, so
well, I think
figured
I
could just take a quick image of the sharp point.
I think you got close enough. It's got a good amount of depth.
Yeah, and I managed to get the stereo window set just behind. This is sort of as close as I could get without window violations.
I think most of us know what the red hydrogen one is. It's a, was it from 2017, 2018? It was a sort of a high-end smartphone stereo camera with an auto stereo display. The display was made by the same company that put out the LoomPad, and I think Melinda's probably the greatest red hydrogen one stereo photographer in the world. Certainly the most prolific.
I'm sure that's not true, but I have gotten a lot of use out of it. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, they should pay you for everything you've
No,
done
that's fine.
with it.
I'm very happy with it. It's quirky though, but it suits me fine.
Well, you inspired me to dust mine off. I've taken mine to a few places, including that pinball museum and the Musée Mécanique. And yeah, I'd forgotten what a capable camera and what a great display it has. You just need the right subject, something close, because those lenses are so close together.
And it's good to take all your finished images and load them back onto the camera so you can share them with people.
Exactly. It's a great way to show people stereo. They don't need to wear glasses or anything. Well, thank you, Melinda. Before we go on, I did want to say we've got a big group tonight, which is great. But it means we're likely to run late tonight. I mean, I'm sure we will. We're not even halfway through the slideshow. So I'm up for having a late meeting, but if not everyone is, we also might want to consider continuing this next month. We can discuss this as it gets a little closer to 9. I just wanted to put that idea in our heads. I don't want to rush through these photos. I want to take as much time with each one as each one demands. But I just wanted to share that now instead of 8:59 p.m. If you have somewhere to be in the morning, I hope you can stay with us. Let me, with that, move on to the next one, which is by Oleg. The title is Cooks at Work in the Oman Lodge's Kitchen.
Okay, that's another one that's past your face. It was a narrow passageway, and I didn't want to get any closer because I didn't want to distract the cooks there in the back. So I put the cooks more or less at the window, and then let the peripheral stuff on my left side and right side just something to look past.
Fun concept.
Yeah, very effective.
Looks like some unfinished masking elements on the right side in the right eye.
Yeah. I caught that, but I forgot to take it out.
Right. I love the reflections in the stainless steel. You get this sort of subtle depth for that.
Again, I'll need to use at least twice as thick a border, the white border.
Mm.
Yeah, for 1920 by 1080, I recommend no less than 4 pixels.
This is actually 5 pixels.
Oh, that's
Oh.
surprising.
Of my
I'm not sure how other people have. I love the depth in this. It's kind of thing that really excites me, and yes, great composition. The and I applaud the experimental copying the shapes for the stuff that sticks out from the window. But I find it a little distracting. I'm thinking maybe a straight line would be better. I don't know how other people feel. It's definitely, kind of pushing the envelope for what to do when it goes past the window and you get to the edge of your picture. Okay, I guess
maybe a gradient to have them drop into shadow at the sides of the frame, so they're not drawn to them as much.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, that could work.
Because if you're focusing on the cooks, then you're not really looking at the side.
I was wondering what if there was like another archway or doorway or something that would mask that.
Frame within a frame.
I think it'd be pretty easy to darken the edges.
Yeah.
That would help.
Yeah, because that's what I was talking about before with through the window effects. Is I like them to be darker in the foreground, so it feels like the light is emanating from the picture, and you're sitting in the dark looking at it.
Yeah, good. I'll fix that for sure.
All right, thank you, Oleg. Bob, next is your Angel's Trumpet Mirrored. So let's compare. This will be popping up for you in just a minute.
Yeah, my iPad died, so I'm on my iPhone now.
That was very nice.
Yeah, it's dramatic.
It's interesting that there's more depth in this one than the original, which is usually the opposite of what happens with the mirror effect.
Well, with this, I don't know. Can you hear me? Because I'm on my iPhone now.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
can
sure.
hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think the reason is because I was able to encompass the whole plant with air around it, so I was able to push it through. With the single shot, you'll notice it was cut off on the side, so I was limited in terms of how far I could push it through the window. Once I mirrored it, I had more leeway.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
And I did do a bit of photoshopping here to fix the anomalies in the middle a lot.
Yeah, that's always such a headache.
Yeah, when the crossovers are at different depths.
There's just a tiny bit left at the very top, along the center line. Otherwise, it's perfect.
Now, which part were you pointing at?
The very top part, where in the very center, where the
two leaves meet.
The very last leaves. There's
I thought
one sticks in from one side, one sticks in from the other.
Yeah,
so there's a little bit of rivalry. So if you could,
to be asymmetrical.
Yeah, well, that's the I just did some cutting and pasting and may have forgotten to do that one.
Well, there's just a floating ghost kind of triangle in the middle. I would paint that out with the sky color.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, this is fabulous.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Yeah, boy, I've got so many devices running right now to monitor all
I
the
forgot to turn,
streams.
I have to go
It's
turn
just
off
getting
my 3D
easier, it
TV too.
seems.
I've got 3 of them going right now.
Well, it seems like it was easier, but I recall projecting those realist slides required like a team of people, I think. 3
Three
or 4
axes,
people
yeah.
running that
You had to
projector.
focus, then vertical alignment, horizontal alignment.
Right. So
That's fun.
this
There's
is
a skill.
actually easier, as much as big a pain in the neck as it can be. All right. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Steve, you're up next with Buenos Aires Singer.
Okay, so this is the same club we went to see the tango. And yeah, it kind of looks like I just got right up in this guy's face, but he actually came walking down the aisle where I was sitting. And so I didn't get out of my seat or anything. I just shot from where I was, and he stuck his hand in my direction. It was the original picture was bluer than this, so I took out some of the blue. I mean, I kind of liked all that blue, but it was a bit much. And he was moving some, so there was a little bit of motion blur. I ran it through Topaz. I don't have Gigapix. I can't remember the name of the Topaz program, but it's like their basic program, but does a really nice job.
Photo AI.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was like a double image on the hand that's holding the mic, and I kind of just painted that out.
Pretty good. I'm seeing a conflict between the thumb and the guy's necktie. You might want to paint out the necktie.
I did notice something, but I don't.
I'm pretty sure that's his necktie in the left hand chip.
Yeah, and you're only seeing the necktie in the left,
Right.
not in the right.
If it was just a white shirt front, you'd be able to perceive the thumb better.
It kind of makes a strobing effect. I agree. Painting out the tie would be
actually did
be
do
a good
some
solution.
makeup on his thumb. There was just some annoying shadows, but I didn't do anything to his tie or his shirt.
Yeah, I'd take out the tie.
Yeah, just paint it white.
Oh, I see. It's not really showing up in the right hand view. Yeah, okay, that's a good tip.
Would you do the same for? Is there a red dot and what is that on the bottom left of the?
There is a little bit of, yeah. Maybe I should take that out too.
I mean, I'm okay with that because that's part of the stage lighting. It's just only visible in one, but that's because he's in front of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason to take it out.
Yeah, maybe.
I think probably better. I think it's more distracting than anything else. I think I would take it out.
I think this one might be a good subject to turn into an illustration. Use filters to make it much more graphic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's an interesting
use AI to turn it into an actual, like, make it look like a drawing?
Or use the line art filter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Posterize.
Yeah, the composition and emotion is very graphic, but as a photograph, you're just in such difficult conditions that sort of might as well lean into making it more abstract.
Yeah, posterize might be the trick.
Yeah.
Well, might be something to play with.
Well, great timing on this. You were sitting in the right chair. You shot this with your Fuji W3, I presume?
Exactly.
Yeah. Very capable camera, and, it kind of gave you something a little abstract this time. But I think we all agree it really works. It's like he's bathed in stage light.
That he is.
Looks like he's singing just for you.
I wish I understood what he was saying.
Well, the hearts around him, maybe that indicates how he felt. Those stage lights up there, those heart-shaped lights. All right, thanks, Steve. Yeah, great subject. Very well composed and well aligned. He's really reaching out for me here.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Jay, tell us about GOAT.
That same Chicago Museum of Art that I shot that has the miniature rooms. And yeah, he's got his head out the window. And also loom pad. Yeah, its composition was just the most symmetrical with what was around it.
Well, you got a great exposure with the loom pad. I imagine this was a fairly dim room.
It's actually a nice window light.
I see.
So, yeah, decent illumination.
Yeah.
And I think in Stereo Filmmaker, I just brought the curves down a bit to get more texture.
I see.
You didn't have any trouble with the museum taking pictures with the loom pad?
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, really great texture in this. That nice ambient light.
It's natural you'll ever see me. Like
No
if a
harsh
photographer's
shadows.
like,
Yeah, because the museums, right, you always have those spotlights. It's not the best way to take pictures.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, in this case, the windows really helped.
Hmm.
Is the title of this piece GOAT, or is that a descriptive title for the photo?
Just descriptive. I didn't bother, taking a picture of the plaque.
I think it may actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. Very nicely done. Thank you, Jay.
It's the greatest of all titles.
GOAT. That's what you meant, right, Jay? All right. Next is one by Melinda, and this is Twin Peaks.
Yeah, so I was looking for a composition with the Sutro Towers and the Golden Gate Bridge together. So I was poking around in Google Earth, and I thought that I would be able to get that from up here on Twin Peaks. It turns out the angle was wrong, but I went out there in the late afternoon, and this was, and I was taking a variety of different pictures from around here, and this is right before sunset, so the colors just really popped. Just those last 5 minutes of sun are always special. So I thought this turned out pretty well. It's a cha-cha. It's about probably a 4-foot stereo bass. A lot of things moving, a lot of cars, a lot of people in motion here. So I spent a lot of time on this one. I took out a car that was driving on the street there. Also on the left, you see a couple of motorcycles. There were a couple other motorcycles, but I took them out too because it was too hard to deal with. The closest motorcycle is interesting because his shadow is going straight across the middle of the image, and you can see you can see his silhouette. He's doing a wheelie, and you can see that if you zoom way in, you can actually see a silhouette of him in the air, projected against that that barrier. I had to clone that from one eye to the other, of course, and a bunch of other similar cloning to take care of the people that moved. But it turned out pretty well. And this was before I was thinking of doing a through the image, through the window submission. And I was originally just going to crop out the bottom part of the image that was clearly too close to the camera. But then I figured I could do a false frame for the subject, and it wouldn't be that terrible. So I set the stereo window there and did the border thing again. Took me much too long to do that one border. Not much more to say. Just really nice exposure.
I don't think I've ever seen this view captured in stereo before. This is a completely original composition to me of a scene that's been, people photograph from here all the time.
And that's what I was doing before the actual sunset. So I was on both of these peaks and walking all around the area.
Where is this?
Twin Peaks in the middle of San Francisco. And you can sort of see some of the downtown skyline on the right. But yeah, everybody's taking pictures of the city, and that's the obvious subject. But I had already done that, and then right at sunset, this sort of opportunity presented itself, and I wasn't even thinking of showing both peaks. In fact, I originally titled it Twin Peak because it was just the one mound. But yeah, I'm glad it works in stereo to have both peaks because that is challenging. And if it wasn't one of these false frames, it probably would be too wide a base.
The framework's really nice. The depth is gorgeous. The light's really beautiful. My only suggestion might be the fence on the lower left. You've got a little misalignment there. I love the lead in with the path. I'm only wish they would have not put the fence on the left and just left that one area leading in. But yeah, if you look at it, it's zoomed in, you'll see that you're seeing a little more of the lower railing of the fence in one chip than in the other.
I didn't notice that in the railing, but I did.
Probably when you're shooting your cha-cha, you're standing on higher ground in the left eye than in the right eye, because the fence is vertical perspective is higher in the right than the left.
You could probably, I don't think it would be difficult to fix that.
No. But
yeah, no, I'm freeviewing it on my iPhone, so it's, but
Yeah,
it did draw my eye there.
It's good to know. The one thing that really did bother me, the thing that I was kind of focused on there, was that curving of the hill on the very left.
Yeah.
So where it goes from the frame down to the fence posts. It's a little different in both eyes, and I was just masking, painting with black to try to get a reasonable line, and that's pretty much where I gave up working on this. I mean, I don't spend more than 2 hours on an image very often at all anymore. I used to do it fairly regularly, but
are you talking about the railing behind the window there on the left, lower left?
In the foreground.
Yeah, the foreground and the lower left. So the grass the grass is a little black curve.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So the curves don't match. So that's what I was kind of focusing on at the end, and that's when I just gave up.
Yeah, a little cutting and pasting. I find when I do stuff like this, I tend to drop a shadow where the overlap happens at the window, just to give it a little extra.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. Also, you can see my car at the very bottom. I like that.
Makes it personal.
No, I love the geometry of it. It's beautiful too.
Oh, thank you. I was worried that it might be too much.
No, it's great.
And I want to say for the motorcyclists, for a clone job, you got the spatial placement exactly right.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like it's floating or sunk in the ground or anything. It looks like it's right there.
I mean, if you really zoom in, there's little alignment problems all over the place. I did the best I could. Like the guy in the very center in the sort of cyan shirt. He's not perfect. He's floating about a foot above the air. And then in front of him, like you see his shadow going to the right, but in front of that shadow is another shadow. There were two people that were sitting on the berm on the left, and I fought with them for so long, and then finally just painted them out. And it's yeah, all these things I fought with. Each one I just gave up when I was too sick of looking at it. The only thing that worked like really well were the people at the top. For some reason, most of them stayed put.
I definitely think it's worth going back and doing a little more tweaking, because it's just a beautiful composition.
Very unlikely. No.
Well, that's okay.
Chicken.
We'll take
But if
it
somebody
as
else
is.
wants to, I can give you the original images. They're full frame, high res, DSLR. So good quality images. But yeah, this is as much as I felt I was going to invest. Sort of like I saw a movie about Jackson Pollock, and some reporter was interviewing Pollock and asked him, as a female reporter, how do you know when your paintings are done? And he says, well, how do you know when you're done making love? So it's sort of like it's sort of like that. It was like when it's done. It's done when
There are
you're.
a lot of ways that could go.
Yeah, I certainly hope that's not the way he painted those paintings. I always wondered about those splatters.
You know, there may be more there to it than I realized. Yeah, that's a good point. No, the idea is just that with art, it's never. It's done when you're sick of looking at it. You know, it's kind of my that's kind of my take. Because you could work on any image forever. It's but you just get diminishing returns, and at some point you just naturally stop working on it. Maybe you even intend to work on it more later, but the image is done. I don't know if I
George Lucas once
said that right, but
George Lucas once said that movies aren't released; they escape.
yeah, that's the same idea. And I guess the key is to just be okay with that.
Well, thank you, Melinda. Yeah, I think we learned a lot about your philosophy, your fine art philosophy tonight as well. This is a beautiful hyper. Thanks for sharing it. This would do really well in like a landscape or a cityscape. I mean, it's just such a unique view, and great light. Great.
It's all about the light.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple of minutes makes all the difference. You got to watch the sun actually setting when it gets right about time to to hit the horizon, that's when you want to take your really focus and get your shots, because it just 5 minutes before it was sort of just a nothing of a picture. It all just pops.
All right. Well, thank you, Melinda. Oleg, this is your window violation 2.
Yeah, window violation 1 didn't do so well. This is about 10 years ago. I took this picture.
I remember it. We liked it. Didn't it take any prizes or anything?
I don't think so. But anyway, I made the window more window-like.
Mm.
In fact, I risked my life there. The camera was about a foot away from the train. You can see the I guess it's the man that's running the train. He was honking and honking and honking because he didn't. He thought I would get hit by the train. But there were 2 trains that day, and the first train I figured out exactly where I needed to stand to get the picture. After I clicked this, maybe 2 seconds or so after that, the train passed me.
Is this Niles Canyon?
Pardon me?
Is this Niles Canyon?
No, this is in Colorado.
Okay.
Say again? I forget the name of it.
Now, did you have the false frame in your first submission?
No, I didn't, and that was one of the reasons it didn't work that well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this works much better.
I'd love to see.
I love the broken glass, the actually shattering through the window. I'd love to see some shards of glass coming.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah, some things coming at you, if you'll pardon.
I do feel like 2 things. I'm not sure what's going on with the smokestack because it looks like a flat piece of cardboard. I'm not. It may be natural and just because of the lighting or something just don't have any depth. The other thing is, I feel like it's such a cool effect. Works great on the cow catcher that the cylinder of the engine or whatever, I don't know the terminology.
Boiler.
If that just came out, because it's blocked by the white border, it's so close to being there and sticking out from the frame. I just want to see that. That's it. It's great. I loved it. Well, this idea is such a cool one. I'm going to steal it.
Yeah, I think it needs a little more space on the left because that boiler does intersect with that border. And it doesn't really make sense spatially. It needs a little bit more room.
You mean on the right?
On the right, yeah.
On the right, yes.
And the border could still go behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that and the rail across the top of the boiler must be escaping the frame too, I think.
Yeah, I just want to see a little bit more of that instead of having it cropped there. I'd like to see it extending all the way through.
And I agree with Steve about the smokestack there. Maybe if it were a bit more above that frame at the top, it's very close to the edge of the frame, and which tends to kind of defeat the breaking of the window there.
Well, it's also very straight at the top. I think it needs some shaping to add a curve or something.
Yeah, maybe a little shadowing.
Yeah, it might look a a little less flat. Oleg, I remember when you first exhibited this 10 years ago or so. I remember it vividly. And I think you also, maybe it was a different photo, I think you showed us a sequence in a slideshow, or maybe it was a video of this approaching. Does that ring a bell? Maybe I'm imagining it.
Took a lot of pictures like that. I don't think not from that particular place, but I took movies of other places.
Maybe because there's so much motion in this photo, I just thought I saw it as a video.
No, this particular place, I didn't take a video.
Wait, I have a question. So this was a analog photo that you then overlaid glass?
Yeah, the glass is fictitious. There was no such glass there.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this was an analog photo originally that you took. It wasn't a digital photo. If it was 10 years ago, or
no, it was a digital photo.
Oh, it was a digital photo. Okay,
Yeah,
just wondering.
Yeah. It was early in my digital career.
Yeah. Well, like when I first met you, you were shooting medium format with like 100-year-old camera. What was that camera?
Yeah, I forget the name of it.
Yeah, it was incredible. And these medium format, you would create slides, and you had a medium format stereo slide viewer, and they really were like stepping into virtual reality viewing them that way.
The clarity is incredible.
Yeah, the sharpness, the fine grain, and yeah, it was shortly after that, I think, and I don't even want to remember how many years ago that was, but I think it was around then that you started shooting digital. So you were shooting film up until, pretty close, I think.
About 15 years ago, I feel, is like when the club really went digital.
Yeah. Yeah, so Joey, 3D, digital was sort of late to 3D, and a lot of us just held on to our stereo realists. I've got one, and yeah, we were maybe 10 years behind the rest of the world in terms of switching to digital. So hold on to that stereo realist. It's a great camera. It won't let you down. A little extra work doing the scanning, but great camera. Thank you, Oleg. Bob, coming up next is your Jim Frog. The title I have is Jim Frog 2.
Yep. Yeah. Whoops, let me. Okay. Yeah, back in the days when I was going to the gym, I kind of set up this, the two, I forget what those were. They were used for some exercise thing, and they were set up like a mouth, and I grabbed those other two pieces and made a frog out of it. Couldn't resist.
Very nice.
And it's through the window. It's really nicely placed. So while everyone was exercising, you were in this corner arranging these items.
Yes, right.
Yeah. This would also do well in a humor exhibition. And I'm guessing this must have been a cha-cha, right?
Yeah.
You could turn the Bosu balls green if you wanted, you know.
Yeah, true. I had to
I like
say,
it. I like it just like this. I think it's
Yeah, I
whimsical.
like that.
yeah.
It's lovely. It's well seen, as Barry Bieber would say.
Right.
The purist.
Was it even intentionally a frog?
No, those two, they were just laid end to end. I think I grabbed that piece of fabric, and then I forget what those two other pieces were used for. I think you could stand on them or something to do with foot exercises, but they were on the lower shelf. I just moved them to where they belonged.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's got a lot of personality. Very nice. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, great depth as well. All right, Steve. Here we have stained glass through window.
Yeah, I guess I don't need to, since Oleg did the same thing. This is, not something sticking out past the stereo window, but we're looking through a window. This is also in Buenos Aires and the cemetery there. There are quite a few crypts that had these stained glass windows inside them. They usually had them on both sides, so no matter what angle the sun is at, you would get one window with the sun shining through. So this is, and of course I like this one because it had, a window on the front of the crypt, so you could see the stained glass. Sometimes they just had a hole or a grate or something, or instead of a door, some kind of a fence, so you could see it. But this has an actual window.
It literally is through the window.
Yeah, we're looking through. Look at there are two windows, sort of.
Through
We're looking through a window out a window.
I like the effect of the beveled glass.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it does some strange things.
Nice color. My only suggestion would be to crop the right a bit. There's an anomaly on the right chip, and I don't think you need all of that negative space there.
Yeah.
And it would draw more attention to the stained glass.
Yeah, I agree. You're absolutely right. I could probably crop it on both sides, really.
Yeah, maybe try this as more a portrait orientation.
Yeah, left didn't bother me as much. I like seeing the full part of the masonry there, but the shadowy area there was.
Yeah, I mean, I could also just paint that out so that I didn't have the left and right anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this last voyage you took, Steve, really brought you to some interesting locations.
Yeah. We got literally over 1,000 pictures.
Yeah, I wouldn't know to
I'm not going to
seek this
subject
out.
you to them all. What, did you have a comment? I think I talked over you.
Oh, no, I was just saying I wouldn't even know to seek this out as a subject. I've never even seen a crypt like this before, or this opportunity. And I think it was.
It might not be something that's used as, it's not that I go to cemeteries very often. My wife found this place when she was doing some research, and I had a picture last week from there, and but yeah, I mean, I don't remember seeing stained glass. I mean, certainly we had it in our temple when my mom forced us to go to the temple. But never, I hadn't seen it, in a cemetery before.
Yeah. Steve, I'm curious, your W3, do you have several sets of batteries? Do you have a problem keeping a charge with all the shooting that you do on these trips?
No, usually I went to buy a backup battery, and all I could find was a set of two. So that just turned out to be fortunate. So I have two backups, which is, now I know, oh, that's what you want. And so I always charge them up overnight, and it hasn't been a problem. I mean, the biggest problem is the W3. I don't know if this is a common problem, but it's not accurate in telling you how much charge you have left. It pretty much is 100% until it's dead.
Right.
And then suddenly it's zero.
I have, when I was using my W3, I have an attachment that Ken Burgess made. It's basically a hand grip, but it has built into the hand grip a place for two batteries, which is very handy.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. I'll send you a photo of it. And I may be getting rid of my W3 collection. So if I put it up, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I also have the close-up and the wide-angle attachment for the W3 as well.
You might have a buyer here.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
We've got a few more. We are after 9 o'clock. We'll probably wind up around 9:30 or so. So if you can stick around, please do. If you can't, you don't need to make any excuses. I get it. I consider this a good problem to have. I really love it when we have so many submissions that our meeting goes over. So that's all I'm going to say about it. But I did just want to acknowledge that we're running late, and I really appreciate everyone putting in the later hours. Our next photo is by Jay, and the title is Lamps.
This was at, I think, Carmel, some small mall-like thing, and one of the little shops. And yeah, just gorgeous lamps. And again, with a glue pad, sort of held it above my head.
I was going to ask if you had attached it to a pole or something, how you got this elevation.
No, just up there.
Very nice.
Yeah, I probably should have shot a bit more and waited for people to get out of the way. But good subjects.
Yeah, I think this is one of your better compositions tonight. Everything is really nicely balanced. And you've got this great color and sort of that luminous quality from the lamps. Really lovely.
That blue pad yellow actually works to advantage here.
We have an upcoming special in a couple months, mergers. And you might want to re-enter this one for mergers too. This one works so much better in 3D than it does in 2D. In 2D, it's kind of hard to distinguish the individual lamps, but here everything is nicely separated.
Yeah, I might have some other angles which would work.
Yeah, keep it in mind. I'd love to see some more of this.
Matt, you're getting very muffled.
I'm muffled, am I?
That's better. That's
okay.
better.
I'll make a better effort to speak into the mic. I'm looking at my loom pad. I need a bigger studio. Maybe that'll be one of my goals for 2025. This was in Carmel, you said, Jay? Oh, Jay, you're muted.
I think so. I realized I turned the location on my phone off. So I'm not exactly sure.
Well, wherever it was, it's a Great subject. Oh, might not remember the location, but you'll remember the photo. Thank you, Jay. Melinda, this is your vegetative tumescent
Don't even bother.
tuberance.
It's okay. I couldn't think of a title.
Love it.
That title had a lot of thought went into that title.
Yeah, no thought at all, but that's usually the case with titles. Yeah, this was just an experiment for the subject. A friend had given me this gigantic zucchini that he had grown, and so I was just looking for some kind of subject to shove through the stereo window, and just grabbed this with the H1, of course. So yeah, I just wanted to see like how big an effect I could get away with. There's really not much more to say. It's just a test.
Oh, it works. And you've got that nice thick border too.
Yeah, the border's a little thicker than usual too. So just an experiment.
You must have been holding this in one hand and the camera in the other hand, and
yep, took a bit of strength too. That thing was a monster.
Were you shooting blind? I mean, could you even see the display of the camera when you made?
I could see it, but I was definitely channeling some inner yoga or something like that. Hand came out kind of out of focus though. But I mean, it's terrible quality all around. It's just a test of an extreme through the window.
Well, it is that. And the zucchini's in focus, so that's what the camera was looking at, obviously.
Yeah.
You must have cropped quite a bit out of this photo to make this work.
Yeah, and probably about the right separation to do this with this camera.
Very nice.
I recommend extreme tests just to try out things that you can't quite imagine, and then it usually leads to something else. That's what I find. Gives me new ideas.
Yeah, and if you show that experiment here, you can give us ideas. This is an idea that some of us will probably steal.
Good.
Thank you, Melinda.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Oleg, this is the last one that we have from you tonight. This is ferry passengers viewing passing boat.
Yeah, I thought the subject should be those people in what was the background. So I brought the foreground or the left side past the windows, so you could concentrate on the people in the background there. That's where the window is now.
Oleg, do you think that if you would push this back and instead of having that side come through the window, you put that edge at the window, would that change the the focus of this image? Would that change the subject? Would it no longer be?
Exactly. That was the problem. Because I wasn't too interested in those people on the left side of the picture. I was interested in the people that were the two, well, there's three people there at the back. So I put those out the window. The left side is sort of an afterthought.
Yeah.
You can look there. It's interesting, but not as interesting as the way the background looks.
Well, it does add a lot of depth to the photo, but I see what you're saying. And I guess that's a compositional technique that is available only to stereo photographers, using that Z space to emphasize the subject.
Where was this at?
This was in the Chile. The road to the highway to the south, a lot of places they couldn't build the highway, so there's a series of ferry boats that carry you between segments of the highway.
Yeah, we've seen a few shots from this ferry, and I imagine we're probably going to see a few more in future meetings.
Yeah, there was nothing else I could do but take pictures.
Well, this ferry has proven itself to be a great location for you. There are
Yes.
a lot of interesting angles, lots of frames, and things to explore with the eye.
Yeah, I'd like to go there again.
All right, thank you, Oleg. So we have three more, and then we will take our poll, just to give everyone an idea of what's left. Our next one is by Bob. Monorail Reflections is the title. Where is this?
This
Yeah,
is
I'm
at
very
the,
curious.
this is actually, I did not manipulate or do layering or anything in Photoshop. This was taken at the Seattle Space Needle Park.
Sure.
And that's the monorail and a building being reflected by another building on the left. And I just love the abstractness of it. And
Yeah, I was going to say.
So what's reflection and what's not? Like clearly all the violet stuff, that's a reflective wall.
I think it was half
And-
reflected. You could see through the glass as well. So I think you're seeing part of
Oh, weird.
that. I know. I've been trying to Google the park and see if I could find that building. I'll keep searching for it or see if I have another view. I'd be interested to maybe manipulate and try to give some more depth to it. But
Yeah, that was exactly my thought. I think a wider stereo base is what it really wants. But it's a great composition of the different colorful elements. So we got a building on the left, a monorail on the right, and then this blue
there's
building.
another
part
building
is-
below. There's another building on top of it. I have to go check my other photos and see if I could find it. But I love that it looked like this alien being, some kind of an animal with an eye and a muzzle on the
Oh,
left. That's just peeking over the monorail. Just
I
had
like how you get the primary colors. You get the red, the blue, and the yellow.
yeah.
Looks like there's one of the generals in the Star Wars
Yeah.
movies is an alien that looks kind of like a fish.
Uh-huh.
That's the guy it reminds me of.
Yeah, I'll try to do some research on this because it's taken a while to go.
I found the
Okay.
location. I could send you a drop pin or put it in the chat. And
Put it in the
you
chat.
can-
Yeah, we'd love to see that. This one's kind of tricky for me. It's hard for me to get a sense of scale. It's so abstract. I'm really kind of depending on. There's some little tiny signs at the bottom of the monorail. My eye keeps sort of landing on those. It's sort of the only piece of this scene that I can kind of comprehend. Or
It's your life preserver, huh?
right.
I'll have to see if I have any with the monorail actually in the picture, but I like the abstract of it
Yeah.
and just kind of bringing whatever you want to bring to it.
Yeah, me too. And all those crazy colors.
Yeah, I see an underwater scene myself. I think it's just the reflections and the
in the center,
the colors.
Just reminded me of some paintings that I've loved. And just
Certainly in 2D, it's a effective abstraction too.
Yeah.
But we won't talk about that. All right, thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Yeah, I can see from Joey's post that those buildings are really organic shape. That's just helps the confusion by having that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that post. That was very helpful.
Yeah, it's a I guess it's technically somebody else's art, but it's such a well composed shot. You've used it well and made it your own, which is like the highest praise.
Well, I don't think, normally if I'm shooting architecture, I would agree with you. This, I feel more the composition and the just the juxtaposition of the reflections is a good part of it.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it has a nice jigsaw puzzle feel to me too, the way the shapes fit together.
It says that the building was designed by Frank Gehry. So.
Cool. Is there a name for the building on there? I'll have to go back and check your link. Thank you for that.
It's the Museum of Pop Culture.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't there a rock and roll museum in there? And
yes,
there's I think Paul Allen's Science Fiction Museum is in this building.
There is.
Yeah, Bob, I think if you entered this in like an architecture special, you'd probably blow some minds. Just wouldn't know.
Need a little bit more 3D, I think, if it's a stereo competition.
But
we can do that.
Usually with architecture, you expect straight lines and a lot of rigor. This is intentionally the opposite of that. Very effective. All right, thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Steve, from you is umbrella carrier.
Yeah, so it's back to Buenos Aires, La Boca, that area that you may be familiar with now with the colorful buildings. And I followed this guy for, he didn't go very far, so I just took several pictures of, he's carrying this umbrella, and it's sticking out through the window.
Yeah.
And I think all I did to it, I did darken it. It was overexposed, and I cropped it. I think I cropped a little bit on the left. That's it.
You've got a great motion from him. He almost looks like he's saying, follow me, or look at me with that thumb. Take my picture.
Yeah, he's got his thumb out. Like, I try not to be too obtrusive, but yeah, you can't keep too much distance without and get the depth that I like. So I was, following pretty close. but it's also a lot of this area is a very popular tourist area, so there are crowds of people around. I just, you don't see so many, but there are people all over the place.
Yeah, I'm sure you fit
So
right
I
in.
don't think he even noticed I was there.
So strange. When you first projected it, it looked like a latex doll or something, a humanist figure on his shoulder there.
That's what I keep saying too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an
You sure he
arm
just
or a
wasn't
limb.
selling blow up love dolls?
Anything goes in Buenos Aires.
Yes, I've
Street
heard.
vendor. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely had to stay close behind him in order to get this through the window effect. Definitely paid off for you. You can't linger in the shadows to be a successful street stereo photographer. You got to get out there, as you did here. Thank you, Steve. And finally, from Jay, is Meow.
So this is at the Blackwing Museum.
Black Hawk.
Black Hawk.
Yeah, Black Hawk.
Yeah, also Bloom-Pad. Yeah, ASA was probably way up there. And yeah, they have lots of animals. This lent itself to the best composition.
Did you add that butterfly, or is that part of the display?
There's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see any wires or anything.
Yeah, they have lots of animals.
It's definitely through the window.
So much easier to photograph the animals in this format.
Yeah, more cooperative.
Probably could have even done a cha-cha.
I might suggest cropping off the right a little bit just to put more focus on that wonderful little kitty cat.
Yeah, that could work.
Not much, just to the right of those rocks.
All right, thank you, Jay. And unbelievably, that concludes our slideshow. Thank you, everyone, for contributing. We're not done yet. Give me another 5 minutes or so. What I would like everyone to do who can participate and who wants to participate is to select their top 3 photos from tonight's slideshow. On your browser, if you can use the link strawpoll.com/ggss. You can also do this on your smartphone or tablet, and there is a QR code there that might help that. What I'm going to do is quickly run through the slideshow. I'll say the titles and the maker's name as well. And at any time during or after, you can make your 3 selections. And we'll wait 60 seconds or so after I run through these again, if you need more time. So let me start that real quick. We'll start with the beginning. This is our workshop, so we'll ignore this, but we will admire Joey's Noe Street, followed by Art Deco Fractal by S. Rathanagiri. Thank you, Melinda, for encouraging this contribution to tonight's slideshow.
Sure.
Foosball by Matt. Matt by Melinda. View Outdoors from Oman Lodge's Gym by Oleg. Angel's Trumpet by Bob. Argentinian Soldier by Steve. Dino by Jay. Pinball Machines by Matt. Stealth Truck by Melinda. Cooks at Work in the Oman Lodge's Kitchen by Oleg. Angel's Trumpet Mirrored by Bob. Buenos Aires Singer by Steve. Goat by Jay. Twin Peaks by Melinda. Window Violation 2 by Oleg. Jim Frog 2 by Bob. Stained Glass Through Window by Steve. Lamps by Jay. Vegetative Tumescent Protuberance by Melinda. Ferry Passengers Viewing Passing Boat by Oleg. Monorail Reflections by Bob. Umbrella Carrier by Steve. And finally, Meow by Jay. And I'll leave it on the slide with the QR code and the URL if you still need to get to that slide. And our YouTube and Twitch streams will catch up in just a few moments. So let's spend 60 seconds for those who are participating, make our selections, then I'll show the results. I'm going to make my own selections. All right, I'll give everyone a few more moments if you haven't made your selection yet. And while you're doing that, I will announce that our next meeting is Tuesday, March 4th, a couple weeks from now. It's our open division, so anything goes. Please submit your open division stereo photos to me for our March 4th meeting by Monday the 3rd. And then our second meeting in March is the following week, Tuesday, March 11th. That's our special subject, and our special is retinal rivalry. And you can get those to me by Monday, March 10th. Does anyone need more time before before I show the results? Let's take a look. Give me just a minute here. And I'll share my screen again. I want to emphasize, of course, I say this every month, this isn't about winners or losers. This isn't first place, last place, but we're all curious which of the photos are the most successful. Some of us, of course, enter our photos in other exhibitions, international exhibitions, and it's good to have a sense of what people like. Melinda's Twin Peaks, we'll call that first tonight with 4 votes. And Melinda's Matt, Oleg's Window Violation 2, Jay's Lamps, and Bob's, that's Bob, Robert Bloomberg, not Robert Bloombarg. Sorry about that, Bob. Monorail Reflections, we'll call those two our runner-ups. How about that? And it's a good sign to see so many other photos got a vote. We're a very small group, so this isn't a very scientific vote. But what this tells me is that there were many popular photos enjoyed by the whole group tonight. And it's a good thing to have a hard time making a selection. All right. We made it. Thank you for sticking with me a little later tonight. As I said before, I consider that a good problem to have. And I hope we have just as many next month, even if it requires us to stay a little late. Before I call the meeting for tonight, does anyone have anything they would like to share, announce, anything to say? Any final words for the evening? Joey, thank you for coming, and thank you for sticking through the whole meeting. And I look forward to seeing more of your stereo realist shots. I did want to break out my stereo realist here. Is my camera on? I think my camera is on. You can see that. And I have been threatening to take this out again really all year as sort of a, it's just such a great camera, and I miss it. It's a challenging camera, but it's a beautiful, beautiful instrument. And I hope we've inspired you. So I hope to see you next month.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in March. Good night, all.
All right.